All right. We are back once again with the ill behavior. This is the Ill Bill, and welcome to the Chill with Bill show. Hey, whatever, man. We love this show. Let's get into it right away.
A lot of them don't want to see that, and then they'll just keep them in the country, and I just think it's whack. So if you have the finances and the mental capacity to do it, that's good, but most don't. So that's my only argument.
Wait, to what?
For the passport bros and his lifestyle.
Finding a traditional woman.
Are you against passport bros or?
I understand the fundamentals of it for those who have done everything in life to make sure they are a man. But if you're not a man, I don't think you deserve that, honestly. Because not only that, you're going to be with a girl, you're going to make her miserable. She's going to have kids with you. And that's just a whole generation of...
What do you mean you're going to make her miserable?
If you don't have your life together, what makes you think you know how to appreciate a traditional wife?
Oh, so you're saying in the context of passport bros?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, we're talking about, relationships here. He has 3 that he can handle. They are happy.
Do it, Alvin. Do it, huh?
What?
Go ahead.
He could do that, but if some other guy who's living here who's never had an idea of what a male figure is in his life, he's going based off of whatever little content he picks from the internet. He's saying, well, I want a traditional wife. But therefore, he doesn't even have, a credit score. He doesn't even have, his life in check. He's still driving the hoopty from high school. But you want a traditional girl. What?
You think those guys are packing it up, getting the passport, you know what I mean, dropping the 300 plus the expedited fare, right? Dropping the plane tickets, you know what I mean, to go over there to find wives, driving a hoopty and living out of a box? Do you think those are the guys that are going over there? Look, this passport bros thing is funny to me, man, because I've had a passport since I was 3.
What happens when you bring that girl over here? You're going to basically make her a Western woman, and she's going to realize, this guy really doesn't have his shit together.
You ain't
now
supposed
she's
to
going to
bring
cheat
her
on
over
you.
here. You ain't supposed to bring her over here, because as soon as you bring her over here, then she gets juiced into the social media. She starts hearing all these bad attitudes and blah, 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 blah. And it's super easy to get westernized because in the cultures that they're in, they just don't have access to that the way that you guys do here. You know what I mean? It's not the same, right? And if you're born here and you're somehow raised to deflect that, I don't even know if that's possible. We'll see, but that's one thing. But if you're just thrown into the soup, that's a whole nother.
You know what the solution to that is? Don't bring it to America.
I think that's a cop out. I think that's a cop out.
It's the solution though.
But it's
not a
embarrassing.
cop
I
out.
think that's so embarrassing.
It's her with the shame language. It's not a cop out. America sucks. Y'all suck. Okay, misery loves company, right? Y'all ain't got y'all ain't got no reason to make a space better, right? Social media sucks, everything about it, you know what I mean? It's not a cop out, it's the honest truth. Look, if you want to move to Thailand and live off $200 a month, right? Be my guest. It's not really my thing, but why? There's no shame in that. A lot of Western women are trash. Y'all out here talking about having 6 babies by 6 different baby daddies to collect six different checks. Okay, y'all disrespect men all day long. Y'all loud, obnoxious. I'm not saying all women, but I'm just saying it's a heavy majority because that's what we promote on this crap, right? On all these TV shows and all these movies and all this social media, right? That's what's promoted. Why would you want to bring her back to that? That's not a cop out. You're using slang language.
I'm Vietnamese. I have workers.
Yeah, but he can raise a family over there.
So he should go over there. But the whole point
that's my point. That's my point.
If he adapts to culture, that makes sense. But if you're not going to adapt to culture, you're going to marry a girl. Why do you think she married you? For the American culture. You're going to marry her and keep her in her country when she really wants to come over here. I think that's selfish.
That's not selfish. First of all, this ain't a build a bride. This isn't a mail-in bride situation. Okay, if he's first of all, if he's over there, okay, and he marries her and he stays over there, naturally he's going to adapt to culture to some degree. Just because he lives over there doesn't mean he's got to live in rice paddies just walking around barefoot. That's not what's got to happen. He can bring American culture, as much of it as he wants, with him. And to be clear, the reason why she's marrying him is not because he's American. if that were the reason, just because he's American, then that would be a relationship that wouldn't last. It doesn't matter if he moved her over here or moved her not, because if it was just because he was American and he didn't move her over here, then she'd get upset and she'd leave him. Maybe, not to believe that would ever happen, but whatever. And then if he was American and he moved her over here, she'd leave him after that, right? That's not why these women are marrying these dudes. They're marrying them for the same reason that you women would marry the man of your dreams. He provides security, resources, cares for her. You know, he's stronger, bigger, can support, can have a family, can provide. That's why, okay? They don't care. I mean, like, being from America is a cherry on the top, right? It just means that maybe his dollar is stretching further, okay? But I think these women just get so upset because they know that there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
Oh yeah, she does.
So, wait, yeah, she does?
Like she want most. I agree with your hypothesis that most of the girls that are probably
Yeah.
matching up with these passport boys,
have
or
so
whatever,
many- yeah.
they're doing it for the green card. I
Yes.
get the point.
Yeah, and a lot of guys don't know that because they're seeing only the traditional like value in it, which I understand. We all see things we want, but like it doesn't mean you can have it. A lot of people don't see that, so they'll.
You're acting like there's so many women in these countries just marrying dudes for green cards. Dudes are not stupid. I mean, maybe, okay, so maybe some are, but the vast majority of these guys aren't just marrying these women so they can get green cards, right? We don't have an influx of brides coming over here for green cards.
Like kind of.
But are you saying the key thing when it comes to the passport pros? I mean, we could debate.
Also, to be clear, that's been going on way longer than you've been on this planet, sweetie. Okay, people were doing this way back in the day. I could name movies you've never even heard of. I'm not going to because that would be silly. But
debate kind of what the motivations are on the women's side is the men in Western countries are dissatisfied with the behavior of Western modern women, and they're looking to South America and Asia for more feminine traditional women.
Yeah.
Do you disagree with that part?
I understand with that statement. My thing would just be level up. Like I just think that all right. So what? The
Right.
girl here wants you to make a decent amount. I'm not.
a decent amount. The girls here don't want you to make a decent amount. Again, what's wrong with the average dude? The average guy that makes, 40 some odd K or whatever, right? That's no good. None of y'all are cool with that guy, right? Like, this is a problem because you think you're better than that. How could you be better than average when all of y'all are average? You can't be. And you can't be mad at him for wanting to be able to have and to raise and support a family off of a living wage. He doesn't want your OnlyFans feet money. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying the extremities of like the 6-7 figure guys. I'm not saying that there aren't girls who don't want you just to be like not socially awkward. Like a lot of guys are socially awkward.
I think you're a bit ignorant to like the average guy's experience.
This girl has no idea what the average guy's experience is because she doesn't have to pay for dates. She doesn't have to approach men. She's got her DMs are getting racked. She's probably just getting money thrown at her left and right from simp McSimps. Like she has no idea what the dude who works at Starbucks, what his life is like. And I'm not saying that dude should go to Thailand and try to find himself a wife, okay? No, brother, level up. But the point is that until he levels up, right? Until he gets his shit together or whatever, his existence is pretty meager, okay? Whereas the same girl working next to him, the girl working next to him at Starbucks, her life is a lot easier. Not always, but more often than not. She's flooded in her relationship life, her sexual life is significantly better than his.
Consider this, right? Most guys, the average guy today, his granddad had to put in a quarter of the work to get the kind of woman that is 4 times as amazing as the woman he's attracted to.
Are you talking? You're talking
like
about
his grand, like
That's right. And before he even goes into that, look, before social media, before all this crap, the internet, blah 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 blah. Okay, every town had a rating, right? You had the 10 in your town, whoever the 10 was in your town, and from there, all the rest of the girls kind of fell in line. And that girl, that 10, and then the 9s and the 8s and the 7s and the 6s or whatever, they would commingle within that area. Maybe, they'd go to college and they'd meet somebody or da da da. You know what I mean? Like that. There was a lot of that kind of going. But for the most part, there were a woman could find a nice dude who worked at a gas station, who was a mechanic, who was a plumber, who was an electrician, who did refrigeration, whatever, worked at the GM plant, blah, blah, blah. He could work a good day, 8-hour days, 5 days a week, whatever it was, okay, make a solid wage that was enough for a mortgage on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that was comfortable enough for her to either live in and take care of the kids on, without having to work, or maybe she did have a little side gig or worked or whatever, you know what I mean? But he was able to do that, support that, and she found value in that. She found value in that guy and in their setup. That was something that women strived for. Okay, but now when you get to see all your friends getting flued out here, going to this place, riding in this car, sitting on this boat, wearing these clothes, blah, 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 blah. Now it's just a consistent keeping up with the Joneses. This girl over here, right, the one who's talking all this crap with their white tips, you know what I mean? She's not settling down with a $50K a year, 46K a year dude. In order for them to have the same type of living situation that they would have had, 50 years ago or whatever it would be, both of them have to work full time, or he's got to be making a bunch of money. Like, it is what it is.
His grandmother was an amazing woman and, a very, very feminine, natural woman. And his granddad really didn't have to do the kind of work he has to do right now as a young man in the Western world.
So you're talking about hoflation.
Yes, totally.
Hoflation. So modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers did for women 20 times worse than what their grandmothers were.
Yeah. It's true. It's actually true.
Most of y'all sitting at this table have no domestic skills. You don't know how to cook. You don't want to clean. You don't want to be at home. You don't want to. Most of y'all want to put off having and raising kids, right? Your goals are very masculine oriented. On top of that, most of y'all probably have a degree. Most of these girls right here. Most of y'all probably have a degree of some kind from some college, right? So now your ego, right? We'll take your average looking self, but now your ego is up here because you feel that because now you have this degree, you have these qualifications, whatever, that you deserve a guy up here, right? And then you add social media on top of it. So now you have football players, basketball players, rappers, right? Actors. You got all these blue check marks in your DM. Average, below average, you know what I mean? Blue check marks in your DMs, right? Wanting to flew you out. So now, after the education, now you're up here and now you're here. Here's where your ego is. You think that this is your value because and so the average dude, the way that he knows his value, right? 50K a year or less or whatever, you know what I mean? He knows that this is where average is. Your head is up here because of all these artificial things that you think give you status and value, right? And it's a shame. It's a shame because all the dudes up here, right, the Leonardo DiCaprios or whatever, they're just going to, do what they do. And you're just going to think what you think until eventually Eventually, time runs out, and the wall is undefeated.
Again, I guess with what I understand from everything, it's like I have a family slum back at home. They're the guys that are born here and guys who are born in my country. What they do is they sit here and they realize like, all right, I want to go back to my country, marry a girl. They're miserable with the back and forthness. Like that's like an average guy from what I've seen and then what I have to coach with. So I get what you're saying that
so they don't stay there. They try to do.
They can't
like
afford to stay there.
They try to do two countries.
It's like because they're here. It's like it's hard to make money over there.
Because they work here.
Yeah. So how is that? It's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not. It's hard. It's not easy. Not everyone can pull it off. They can't. It's true. They can't. It's
that's just my
rough.
only argument.
It's
That's all I'm saying. It's not easy. So.
Yeah. I get
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. Most men don't want to work here and then go there and then come back and forth and back and forth. Okay, they don't want to do that. If he could afford to live there, he would live there. If he knew that she wouldn't get corrupted in the first 5 minutes of being here, right, he would move her here. But misery loves company. Y'all got no problem telling that girl she can do better as soon as she gets here.
it.
Hoflation? Hoflation? That's the thing.
It's true. It's a thing.
Women are asking for way more now and bringing the least.
They're asking for more now because they're ignorant. But honestly, like I grew up here and I was just as ignorant, not to the degree that it's gotten to, but like the only reason why I am the way I am now is because I met somebody that made me realize, holy crap, I need to have my life. I don't have the luxury to be barbaric.
Hold on.
Alvin Sam super chatted $100.
Thank you, man.
Ling Ling, modern women are masculine, argumentative, combative, and overweight. But, by your logic, that's the man's fault.
Your response to Alvin?
I didn't say it was his fault. I didn't say that. There's plenty of women that there isn't. That's the thing. Everyone lives on social media, so you're looking at the girls that you do see on social media that is masculine. I literally have been enlisted at nail salon my entire life. There's women of all walks of life. I deal with more women than the average guy has ever dealt with.
But the thing is you don't date those women as a man, okay? So stop the cap. The way that you guys talk to each other, the cattiness, the chattiness, da-da-da-da-da, these are way, way different behaviors than the way that women behave when it comes to dating men. Okay, you don't date women as a man. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I feel like this woman's a matchmaker, but I wonder how successful it is. Something. I think she said clients, and that's why I didn't watch this whole thing. Doesn't really matter. Let's keep it going.
With women. So how is it that I can get those girls who are barbarically masculine to submit to their feminine side just by simply them paying for a course with me?
You're doing God's work there.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he's being nice too, because this is you just talking where we have no evidence that anything you're saying is factual.
You're doing God's work.
That's my point. So it's like even for myself as a living testament, like how can you say that? It's yes, a lot of these girls don't even have like a proper upbringing, and then you have social media making it to this crazy extravagant level of like there's only this and there's only this. There isn't. I mean, just me being here in Santa Barbara for like the past 24 hours, I've ran into girls at coffee shops that weren't to a certain degree where I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Everyone isn't like that. But we only see what is on social media, is all I'm going to say. And they're going to argue with that because L Asian, because you guys live on social media. You're burnt.
No, sweetie. It's because you don't deal with women as a man. Y'all treat each other way different. When you walk around and what you see and how y'all are presenting each other, okay, it is way different than what men are introduced with. Y'all flip a switch, man. Y'all sometimes some of y'all like are just wild when it comes to meeting men.
Burner account, leaving comments, that's what you do. But why don't you build some social skills and get out of it? Find some common grounds with girls who actually do, I don't know, pottery class, church.
There's a lot of shame language right here that she's been saying. Like, I don't. How is a man supposed to take anything you're saying seriously when you're just like talking down?
Church shit like that. I think people make it so extreme.
A lot of these church girls are chameleons.
Okay, that's the extreme. Like I'm saying, like I was in the women's space. Like I for nail salon since
in the women's space as a woman, right? It's different when you're a man. Women treat men differently. Men treat women differently than they treat men. We have to. It's just the way that we're wired. So all your entire opinion is based off of a different type of interaction that you receive.
I was 14. So therefore, yeah, there are those type of girls who use that as a facade. But then there are girls who are just there. And there's also, like he said, women are fucking obese and masculine. What about the guys who are feminized and obese also? But then they demand it.
I'm just curious. Like, on average, what do you think you're like the average?
A feminized, obese man is not demanding a non-obese feminine woman. Where's that at?
Average age of one of your female clients would be?
Right now, they're mid-20s, early 30s.
Right.
Early 30s. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just... And then, like, anyone that's younger, like the younger guys that are complaining about women being shitty, you're young. You shouldn't even be dating. You should honestly be getting your shit together. So I really don't see why that's even an argument. I get getting your thing off, sure, but, like, honestly...
Yeah, but a lot of guys want a wife, man. A lot of guys want to have a wife and kids. They really do.
But that's
a lot
my
of guys
point.
don't want to be a playboy. A lot of guys don't want to fly around the world on jets and drive fast cars and never be a playboy. A lot of guys really just want
But
a
I know that.
wholesome life.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
No, but you're just shaming the dudes who don't want to do that. How do you justify what you just said in the same breath? You're sitting there telling a dude that because he's young, he shouldn't be worried about dating. What's going on here?
So I don't see where the contrast is at in the argument. What's your point in that?
I could totally write it back.
Early 30s. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just... And then, like, anyone that's younger, like the younger guys that are complaining about women being shitty, you're young. You shouldn't even be dating. You should honestly be getting your shit together.
You're young. You shouldn't even be dating. You should honestly be getting your shit together. That's the contradiction. This is the whole reason why he says what he says. What do you mean you don't understand?
So I really don't see why that's even an argument. I get getting your thing off, sure, but, like, honestly...
Yeah, but a lot of guys want a wife, man. A lot of guys want to have a wife and kids. They really do.
But that's
a lot
my
of guys
point.
don't want to be a playboy. A lot of guys don't want to fly around.
Oh, but that's my point. No, it wasn't your point. Your point was you're young. You should be getting your shit together. You shouldn't even be worried about dating. That's what your point was. Those are the words that came out of your mouth. And when he said, well, young guys want to get married. Oh, well, that's my point. There's no argument. What are you talking about? Like, do you even hear what you're saying?
Around the world on jets and drive fast cars and never be a playboy. A lot of guys really just want
But
a
I know that.
wholesome life.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. So I don't see where the contrast is at in the argument. What's your point in that?
I think I was reacting to something you just said.
I was like, I know they want... A lot of guys actually get into relationships with women wanting that to be, like, a serious thing. It just kind of goes to shit when she shows them things that are unattractive.
Yeah.
So I feel like this just died down. All right.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go in circles and your argument doesn't make sense because you contradict yourself in 3 sentences.
Maybe
It's not a bad
Sorry.
thing. We calmed everything
No,
down.
we're listening to you.
Sorry.
It's just
Don't apologize.
Sorry.
Here's the thing.
I'm just saying there's hope is all I'm saying. There is
No,
hope.
we're not saying that there aren't good women in Western countries. That's not what we're saying at all. However, there are certain realities in the dating landscape. For example, it's kind of always been the case, but when social media was introduced and when dating apps were introduced, you basically have women who are all chasing after the top tier of men. Hypergamy, I'm sure you're familiar with the term.
Mm-hmm.
So all these women, they're all chasing after the top tier of men because here's the thing. Women will confuse relationship attraction for at least how men view it. There's relationship attraction and there's sex attraction. Men will sleep with women that they would never commit to or never have a relationship with. Typically, though, for a woman to be willing to sleep with a guy, he needs to be at least attractive enough to be in a relationship with in terms of physical appearance. But men, we will sleep with women who we would never be in a relationship with her strictly just based off her looks alone. But we welcome the easy, not all men, but men will welcome the easy access to sex. So what you have happening because of that is women are hooking up with like top tier dudes who they will never be able to secure for a long-term relationship. They either wrongly think that they can secure that man for long-term commitment so they're either delusional or they acknowledge that these guys are just fuck boys and I'll never get commitment, but they'll always kind of be chasing after them, and they'll either wrongly think, well, I'm able to sleep with a guy who's a 9, so I must be a 9.
Yeah.
So you have women with an overinflated self-perception of their own physical attractiveness, of their value on the dating marketplace, let's say. And so to say men go level up, well, the reality is, at the end of the day, like, if at least what makes logical sense, an average woman should get with an average man. However, average women can sleep with men who are not average. You disagree?
And you don't think men can do the same thing?
No, men.
God, no, they can't.
No,
On
average
any-
dudes.
on any
Dude.
level.
Nope.
You
An average-
don't think a ugly guy could get a girl just by
Ha ha
having
ha
money.
ha.
I mean,
See, now she's changing all the bullshit, right? She's changing it. Oh, an ugly guy, but if he's got money and da 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 da. He just said an average girl can get a top tier man in bed. Okay, she can't lock him down for a relationship. Okay, but she can get him to sleep with her. Easy peasy. It's not an issue because men will sleep down no problem. But the reverse is not the same. Okay, a top tier woman isn't gonna sleep with a bum. All right, if he's not a top tier guy, and just because he's got charisma, you know what I mean? Like, oh, if he's got money, well then he's not a bum. You know what I mean? Like, he could be at that point he could be ugly, right? But I mean, some women will sleep with men for just money alone, but he has something else to back that up, right? A woman doesn't need money. A below average woman doesn't need money to sleep with a guy. A guy will just sleep with her. It's different.
Well,
Yeah, but
no,
that's
but
not
you've
average.
added
She's not average,
you've added
so.
a variable there. So
having money is average. That doesn't. That's
no,
not
most men
extraordinary.
like
That's not
make
out of
50K a year or something.
Less than that. Less than
40. Was it 45? I don't
that. It's
know.
like 30 in America, I think.
Yeah,
The average
so-
American wage is like for a guy is like $30,000 a year.
Men can make up for their lack of looks by money, status, and charisma. The worse looking you are, the more you need.
How about a girl?
A girl doesn't need
I mean,
that.
a girl having a pleasant personality can make her more attractive to a partner, but it's not like
Just
A 2, a 3, a girl who is a 2 or a 3, if she has a pleasant personality, can find a man relatively easy, like within a day. Like it's not an issue. But a dude who is a 2, 3, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how pleasant his personality is, man. That dude's he gonna need kryptonite.
And
Make her-
anytime we have a contradiction, you're going to say, "Oh, well, that's just
You're
because men
just-
and women are different, and that's unfair, and it's
Well,
just
they are
unfair."
different.
But
What-
at the same time,
We
that's
Wait, so
are
do you
different.
think we're the same then?
I think that
It's like sitting here and having a conversation about cats and dogs. It's like, well, cats, they don't really like to go into the water, but a lot of dogs, they like to jump into the water. Yeah, because they're different, right? Like they behave different. They like different things, right? And they don't like opposite things. You know what I mean? Like, just because they're both animals doesn't mean that they're the same. And just because we're both human doesn't mean we're nothing alike. Men and women are nothing alike.
there's
In my
equality.
opinion.
we could be
That
Wait.
can
we could be
be-
held to the same
We don't
accountability.
think alike.
yeah,
Into the
we
mic.
Because
value
you
the
can,
same
you can switch it
things.
around and
Into
you
the
can say
mic.
that the woman was the breadwinner or the man, but at the same time, like, okay, yeah, it's very common for the man to be the breadwinner. He's supposed to do this. He's supposed to do that.
And it's
The
okay to
women's
switch
supposed to do
roles
that,
at the
and the-
same time. You can
I
you
hear
can
you. What'd you say?
you can switch roles.
okay.
also.
Here's the difference. Just to respond to your initial comment.
Can't
So
switch roles.
an average woman could get laid with such a frequency as compared. Okay, here's the equivalent. Average women have the equivalent sexual pull as a male celebrity.
Yep.
So an average woman, if she was so inclined, could sleep with a new guy every single night of the week. She could probably sleep with 2-3 guys a day.
Easily.
In order for a guy to be
To be clear, that would be gross. That would be gross. Okay, a different guy every day. That's gross.
able to do that, you are less than the top 1% of men can do that.
And if you are the top 1% of man, if you're a Dan Bilzerian and you're sleeping with a different girl every night, the world doesn't see that as gross. I'm sorry. That's just the difference between men and women. Now, if you sleep with 1,000 women, bro, it's, like that, that's a little much. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're talking about like settling down and that kind of thing, it becomes very difficult, but is it gross though? Most women won't think so. They really won't. There's some women that will, but even that, a lot of that is cap. Most women won't think so. They'll be like, well, there's something about him. Something about him made 1,000 women want to sleep with him, so he must be providing some kind of value. He's got to have something. Dan Bilzerian, he's got money, he got status, he's got looks, he's got charisma. Like you can't be that guy without all of those things, and all of those things attract women. And so none of the women that are attracted to Dan Bilzerian care that he's been with over 1,000 women. They don't care.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
You have to be like you have
to want it.
And I think you have to even have more than you have to have more than just good looks as a guy to do that. Yeah. You need status. I think honestly
That's
only men with status can do it. What's that?
You're talking about the high value.
No, when I say status, I mean like celebrity, athlete, musician. These are the kinds of men that can like really run through chicks. But like an average chick could basically have the same sexual pull as like a top tier dude.
Again, you take a guy who works at Starbucks, he's getting 0 chicks. Maybe he has a girlfriend. You know what I mean? Maybe. And he better hold on to her with diamond hands, right? Because he works at Starbucks. But then the chick that works right next to him in Starbucks, in the same job, okay, doing the same exact shit, can get a different dude every single night. And for that matter, she can get dudes who are rappers, who are basketball players, who are athletes, you know what I mean? Whatever. As long as she has the look, you know what I'm saying? She can get those guys. Can she get him to commit? No, she can't get him to commit. Okay. It's not going to happen, right? Unless she's bringing all this other stuff to the table, right? But to sleep with her, she could get all of that. Remember, dude at Starbucks, 1 chick maximum. You know what I mean? He's not getting no play. The same Starbucks. She works right next to him. She could have a different dude every night. We are different. We are different. Men and women are different. And that's why things that are easy are not valued. Things that are hard are valued.
Really top tier dude. Average guy working at Starbucks. Bro, no.
He ain't getting
laid. He ain't getting laid or he's struggling to get laid.
Like, what if he lies about everything and he goes out
Even
and he's
if
like,
he
I'm a
lied.
high
Yeah.
status
Yeah,
guy.
but
you know how-
make this.
How do you lie and say I'm a high status guy? You work at Starbucks. You can't afford the Lambo. You can't afford the suits. You can't afford the APs. You can't afford to go to the clubs. You can't afford for the dinners. You can't lie about that. You know what I mean? And if you fall for a lie, the Starbucks guy somehow presented himself as a high status man, like you just were not paying attention. Not even a little bit. Like that.
Women are very, very good at picking up on bullshit. You're instinctive, man. You know if a guy's full of shit.
Women
Someone can-
definitely have sex on easy mode. Y'all have getting sex on easy mode. That
Easy
shit
mode.
is easy for you guys.
And that's why if you are a woman and you have sex with a lot of men, then it has a negative connotation because it's easy. Okay, anything that's easy is not rewarded. Okay, things that are hard. So as a man, if you have sex with a lot of women, okay, then it doesn't have a negative connotation. It actually has a positive connotation because you must be doing something right. All these other guys can't do that. You got something that these other guys that they don't have. You know what I'm saying? So we're different. We're different. Anyways, the Whatever Podcast, man. Always with the craziness. Always with the silly comparisons. Anyways, like the channel, hit subscribe. Chill with Bill Shaw. I'm out. Peace, y'all.